one other thing that I wanted to ask you about as well is, what do you think? What are the main misconceptions that you think a lot of enterprise have about security teams? Because I hear so many people getting confused about what they think the security team's supposed to do. What's your view on that?
I think because it varies from all to all as well, right? So I think there isn't a kind of one size fits all. So if you've been in one place, a team may do one thing.
Yeah.
I know some security teams are very governance focused and kind of more traditional in terms of giving out edicts and things, but not necessarily doing. And then teams like ours, we're relatively process light, but we've got a bunch of engineers in our team who help fix things. So it depends kind of where you are on that continuum of different security teams. And obviously in some financial places, they split first line, the second line, the third line into different things. You may have a security team that's purely kind of SecOps, then a security team that's very much governance-y, and then some more. You might depend on how it's set up. But yes, for me, we really want to be an enabling function. So we do our best to be that team that helps people get stuff done. I know I'm not kind of answering your question, but I think the misconception varies. But for me, security should be there to enable, and any security is not enabling you, it's broken, in my opinion. We should be, how can we help you do that better? How can we make that faster and more secure? So employing people in your team that can help your organization, and having a team that, our entire ethos is trying to be helpful. So I aim for every interaction with our team to be as positive as possible. And it's not that, I think security, when it comes in at the end of a project and goes, no, that you can't do that, that's wrong. What value have you added? You've just slowed something down and been a pain in the business's bum, effectively. Whereas if says, just constantly banging on the door, say, how can I get stuck in that inception? How can I get stuck in during the design phase? How can I get stuck in helping you threat model? And get stuck in all through the process and help people come out with a secure thing, whatever it is. You're kind of a helpful enabling team. Same with the cultural piece. Rather than telling people they're stupid for thinking or something or they're wrong, let's help how we minimize that risk and help how we get people to care about what they're doing. So it's security, I think, needs to move from, and a lot of problems with it historically been, I guess, is the much more, too reliant on GRC, too reliant on process, too reliant on we can just say no because it's not secure, or you've got to go and accept that risk, which we often have all those processes, and much less focus on how do we enable, how do we get stuck in with the business. So, for us, because we're effectively a tech company in many ways, I've got probably about 2/3 of the team are engineers, maybe more. It depends what hat they think they're wearing, but I've got most of my team are, my AppSec team are all developers or ex-developers. My cloud infrastructure team are all, solid cloud infrastructure engineers. My SecOps team can all, do bits of Python and stuff like that. So my team very much gets stuck into trying to automate things and make things better for themselves, but also help other teams fix things that we find.
So as a relatively young company, like Just Eat, I mean, do you find that that's better in a way because you don't have so many of these legacy issues that have built up over the last sort of 20, 30 years of mess that you've had to fix? Or do you find, is it harder or is it easier working for a young company like Just Eat?
Probably a bit of both. I mean, we're about 15, I think, so we're not
really?
Young.
My goodness.
So we've been growing the last few years, but it's been around for a while. So we have, we're kind of in an interesting space. So we're very modern and forward thinking in terms of, cloud native, agile, all those. But we've been around long enough to have some tech debt, not as much some people, just in terms of, platform things. Not being quite as a single platform as would be ideal and those kind of things. Obviously, we're working towards all those. There is some tech debt and some quite a bit of complexity. I think it depends. Yeah, it's certainly good. Certainly from my point of view, it's good in terms of building out the security function because it wasn't being young enough not to have a huge function when I joined.
Right. Yeah.
Come in and try and
relatively clean, I suppose, in some ways. Yeah.
So from a security standpoint, it was been super exciting to build it all kind of pretty much from scratch. The benefit of doing that is you're not fixing years and years of legacy security problems.
Right.
I have to get people engaged. Security is really important, which they do get. And get all that buy-in and kind of get people used to security being there more than it used to be because we're running around being involved in things. But I haven't had to go through the process of trying to fix a bunch of broken things where everyone hates security because it was done wrong before or whatever. So,
right,
benefits to both things, but certainly having not too much legacy security is brilliant because it means you can try and do it right to start with.
That's it. You're not under patch hole problems. You've got the ability to almost sort of start with a clean slate and build it out the way it should be, rather than having to make compromises along the way because various legacy issues that you have. I get that.
And that was what's made it. It was obviously a bit scary to start with because not everything was in place. But what's made it super exciting is getting to walk into effectively a pretty substantial, relatively greenfield site and go, right, how do we do this right?
That's it.
Team
This is the ideal, almost like this is the way it should be from the beginning, from the ground up. That's nice. That's nice. So that surely provides a really good template for organisations if they're working towards ideal security posture. They should copy what you guys are doing. You could say this is the ideal.
But that's certainly kind of being able to kind of start relatively fresh and go, what do we need is I think the optimum thing. I think for anyone coming in as a whether it's CISO or head of security or whatever, near the top of security or whether they've got established things or not, the first thing, what do we need and how do we get there? And you should be an organisation that's going to support you, even if it means making some pretty sweeping changes. If you want to be successful in actually delivering what you think is the right security for that organisation.
Right. Yeah, because I guess sometimes the problem is also it's political, isn't it? It's like we've bought that brand, so we're going to continue to buy that brand because we used it here and we've done it here and we've always used it for 20 years, whatever it is. And it's trying to get some of these political shifts to take place in some of these other organisations, whereas you can have the ability to start from the very basics and say from the foundation, this is what matters to us, these are the things we want to protect, this is how we want to protect it, and build it out from the beginning without any politics being in place there.
I think we've always done it like this. Is one of my least favourite phrases of all time. It's also the excuse used, whether it's in security or other things, for doing things badly, right? And you take that to kind of its logical extreme. It's why we're catching witches and stupid stuff, right? We've always done it. And you actually, that you should never use that as a reason for doing things. Whenever you do something, you always look at it and go, is this the right thing to be doing?
Question everything. Absolutely right.
Just repeating things and not learning from it.
Because we find, we speak to quite a lot of organisations, and they've got answers to a ton of questions, but they're not the right questions. You can go to them and ask them some real basic questions around the stuff they're trying to protect, and they just don't know. And they don't because they didn't want to ask the question because they didn't want to know the answers. But they thought they were protected because they've gone out and bought all of these other vendors, long list of vendors, and they spent all this money, and they think by default that means they're protected. But they weren't asking the right questions. They weren't asking deep enough questions because they didn't want to open the can of worms as well. And I think that causes a lot of issues.
So I think, again, this goes back to discussing what we, our joint friend Greg and stuff as well, right? Which is that question everything, challenge everything.
Right.
I think you've got to be sensitive how you do it sometimes.
Sure.
To really fall into that, whether it's as a technician or as a security person, that's really stupid what you're doing. That doesn't get the response you want. So you kind of need to kind of temper the message a bit, I think. So you can question everything, you challenge everything, but you can kind of phrase things in, could we be doing this a bit more efficiently? Or
that's right. You don't want to get too much on the attack. It's got to be a case of getting them on side and just raising the question together, I guess, isn't it?
It's picking your battles. It's being cognizant of the fact that people are emotionally invested in things, and challenging in a constructive way, and letting some things go. So if there's 5 things you think are bad, but 3 are terrible,
pick your battles. Very much so.
No point in being seen as a huge, rude pain in the arse. You won't get anything done then, even if you're right.